Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the King Leo Show. I'm your host, King Leo. Let me check if the audio's good and we'll get into it. We got a lot to get into it. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the King Leo Show. Audio's good. How's everyone doing? How you doing, Audio Vibes? As you can see, we got a Charles Tyrite on, because you can dress well. Doesn't cost a lot of money, man. People need to, if you're going to be presentable, you don't have to spend a whole ton of money. How's everyone doing? We got the tie again. We got our casual Brooks Brothers tie. How's everyone doing? Welcome to the King Leo Show. I'm your host, King Leo. It's not as loaded as yesterday, as we're catching up with the news. We have some interesting stuff to get into. In particular, what I'm very excited to cover is James Fishback, gubernatorial candidate for my state of Florida. Going to be a lot of fun, man. This guy, you guys know I wasn't a huge fan. And I'm not saying I'm a fan. I don't love the guy or anything, but he's there. Like he is actually speaking some interesting stuff. So we're gonna get into that. We also have obviously to cover Zohran's first day, which was pretty interesting actually. I think we have a lot going there. So let's look at this here. Let's start with the plugs as usual. Let me make this big here so everyone can see. Yeah, there we go. All right. So as usual, here is our Patreon, which is $5 or $20 a month, whichever one you prefer, to get access to the King Leo Movie Club, where here you have the first 2 episodes. The other one was filmed today, and it will be posted tomorrow. Tomorrow, most likely. I might throw something in the edit. How you doing, Mr. Elu? We have the Discord, which is free. We are adding people, man. We are adding people here. We have 6 members now, so get in there, folks. We can keep up. We can do all sorts of stuff. We also have the What Would Piers Morgan, or What Would a Postmodernist Do bracelet, although we do have to catch up with our buddy Piers Morgan eventually because I may have misjudged the whole situation with Nick Fuentes, man. It's interesting. We're also going to cover him a little bit, and I think we're going to do that a lot more this year because this guy is on the rise. His political influence keeps growing, and it's important to see how this new power player is here. So with all that being said, let's get into Schizo Watch, and then we'll get to everything else. All right, so let's start. Part of Schizo Watch is going to be, we're going to cover this Clavicular fella, who I was critical of at first, man, but he's been saying some, I'm not telling you to smoke crystal meth or smash your face with a hammer. I don't think that's healthy. But he's an interesting fella. He's been on the politics side. This interview he did with Michael Knowles, the guy has said quite a bit. And it's been interesting to watch. So let's get into it here with our first piece. 1 second here, man. Just want to make sure everything's working here. Yeah, all right, we're good. So let's see here. This is the reason I'm showing this here is because I think that Gen X, man, they got off really easy in the last couple of years. Gen X was always, we're so cool, we're Gen X. Never really bought into it, but my producer really never bought into it because he's a millennial. So he really did not buy into it. I guess he knows them better. They are just becoming the new boomers, man. The Gen X is the new boomer. Yeah, and some people say millennials are doing that too. I always suspected it would happen because you become what you hate. Millennials were the most spiteful towards the boomer. So let's see here how Gen X is becoming the boomer. It's a beautiful metamorphosis to actually watch. It's just like, it's a Kafkaesque nightmare. Let's see our boomer Gen Xer.
I don't understand people who don't like to work because it's like, what else is there to do? I don't understand people who don't like to work because it's like, what else is there to do? Are you going to sit at home and watch TV? Like that's fucking retarded, man. You're gonna watch other humans pretend to be a different human that they actually aren't, just for you to, I don't know, get some sort of entertainment. Like, it's fucking dumb. Did you guys see the new episode of The Kardashians? I couldn't believe it when that happened. Like, wow. Who gives a fuck? You're really just gonna sit there on your fat ass and watch grown adults pretend to be other people? Like, I don't get it, man. But you do you.
Hey, did you see that sport ball game the other day where the one guy threw the ball and the other guy caught it? That was crazy.
This is exactly what I'm talking about, the slave mentality, the slave mind.
This is, I don't know if this is my Catholic, Latino, lazy background. You know, we lazy spicks. We're here to pick the fruit and fix cars, right? You know, we don't really enjoy it, but we do it. We do a little siesta in between, right? I don't know if it's a Catholic thing versus a Protestant thing. This is so pathetic. This is the best slave anyone could ask for. I would actually like to buy this guy. Anyone who says, look, I'm all for shitting on slop. Okay, I hate slop. I hate slop, man. I hate what Hollywood has become. I hate sports because of what they've become. The NBA used to be really cool. It actually was cool, man. Some people might not believe me, but it was cool at one point, all right? When LeBron James was in Miami, it was a cool sport to watch. Now they're trying to shorten it because of how shitty it is. I get it. I don't like slop. I'm not a fan of football. I'm not a fan of baseball. I'm not a fan of these sports. I'm a fan of soccer to an extent. I like the national teams. But this is the mind of a slave. This is the mind of, you should be toiling the fields, actually. I mean, what this Gen X mentality, I've seen them doing this a lot where they're shitting on Gen Z, and even some millennials have gotten in on this saying, oh, you've never experienced a bad economy. Good luck, you know. What is going on in this country? Okay, so you can't think of anything else to do besides work and television? There's so much more to hope for out there. There's so much more. What is wrong with Gen X? In fact, if you're Gen X, you shouldn't be working. Guess what? Because you should be rich, because you were there in the 90s and the 2000s. If you are working and you're Gen X, I actually don't want to hear what you have to say, because it was the second easiest time to get rich after being a boomer. What are we doing here, folks? Like, if you're Gen X, you should be Peter Thiel level. You should be Mark Andreessen level, because that's what Gen X was. If you're working and you're a Gen Xer and telling me that I'm a lazy spick because I don't like to work, this sounds like a personal problem, man. It really does. And this Protestant work ethic, I really thought this was something of the past. I thought it was over. Who works for work's sake? Work is a scam. Yeah, keep working. Keep giving up 30% of your paycheck to the government. Yeah. We love work. We love it. It's pathetic. It's pathetic. How can people not think of so much greater things to do? This is a very, very cool world, bro. I know it's hell.
We live in hell. We live in the gutter.
But have you ever enjoyed a delicious granola bar as you're hiking in the Everglades? Have you ever enjoyed a nice mushroom trip in the Muir Woods of California? There's so much more to do besides work and watch TV. Come on. This is just a sickness. I thought we left this behind. I thought this was a boomer thing. There's so much to do. But Gen X can only think of work and TV. Maybe it's time that you break your Western frame of thinking and start thinking a little bit different. All right? You don't want to watch TV? Why don't you play with the boys? I love to play tennis. You know, there's so much to do. Again, dude, we got to hit it with this man's face and frame.
This is exactly what I'm talking about, the slave mentality, the slave mind.
Send his ass back to a plantation, okay? You should be on a plantation. What's your name? Toby! Am I overreacting here? Imagine someone comes to you and says, all I can think of to do with my life is work in television. Okay. Well, then, the old Florida state anthem, which we replaced, it said, take me back to the old plantation where the old folks roam. Why don't you do that? this kind of stuff makes you think the Civil War was a mistake in the sense of maybe some people with this mentality should be put into slavery. I want to see you talk shit about work then. I want to see you do it then. I love to work. Working is great. All right, yeah, keep working. Keep working. See how far that'll get you. How you doing, Ephraim? Mr. Elu says Gen X voted for Trump more than boomers. Yeah, that makes sense. That actually completely tracks with the technological side, right? Makes a lot of sense. Thank you, guys. I think this is a Charles Ty Wright classic fit. I hate the slim fit stuff. Ephra, how you doing? The problem is that there's too much stick and no carrot, and no one buys the slave mentality. An economy where you have to work more for your income is not stable. Absolutely agree. You know, Ephra, because when I was in business school, we had negative rates. There was negative interest rates all over the world, Japan, Europe, the United States, and in places where the debt is safe, right? And I was told this was going to be the new paradigm, that money was so cheap that we were going to have negative rates forever. But inflation threw this whole thing out of whack. 2020, the lockdowns, all this was a huge mistake in my view. I mean, it's kind of cool. I don't know. I used to hate it a lot more, but I'm an adult. I accept things I don't like, but I didn't realize how badly inflation would affect long-term planning for people at the micro and at the macro level. So, Efra, that is a great additive there, because we really have these problems with economic planning now. And how you doing, Devil IC? Let's watch here. This is actually where I pulled this meme from last night. This originally says the right has gone insane. The Goyim has gone insane. I'm not Jewish myself, fellas, but this meme, I'm seeing it being used by a lot of Gentiles too, because people are fed up with the slop. All right, if that gentleman was right about one thing, is that the slop is bad. Let's see here how people spent their New Year's. What were you doing on New Year's, right? What were you doing? Were you having a grand old time? I drank a gifted bottle of Camus. It was okay. Don't spend your money on that crap. Go get yourself a good natural wine. The wine I like to drink is $7 a bottle. It's a Georgian guy that I know, okay? Go get some wine that's not $80 a bottle. What a ripoff, okay? But you were enjoying your champagne. You were having a good time. You were kissing your girlfriend, boyfriend, significant other. Benjamin Netanyahu was having the run of his life because the man won 2025. What were people doing here in New York City? Let's see what they were doing.
If you leave and you have to use the bathroom or even get water,
you lose your spot.
That's the problem.
So what do you do with the bathroom?
What do you do? I'll show you exactly what you do. Okay? Hold on. Let me see. Let me try and find this here.
Okay, now I
see these pads?
Yeah.
You have to pee in these pads. Let me show you.
But you're a man. What do you do if you're a woman?
Everybody's equal. Nobody's any different.
Oh, you just put it in your underwear?
That's exactly what you do.
And then you switch and you have like a bag, like a...
It stays there. It stays there.
This will hold for the whole day?
You make it will stay for the whole day, yeah.
Oh, this is what you do?
I will be
wearing...
See? See?
What?
I'm wearing diaper.
The diapers?
This is what... Yep.
This is not a diaper, though. This will not
It works
hold.
too. It works too.
It works?
You're a lady. You should know it.
No,
works.
it's not working.
It works.
It's not. I wouldn't try it.
If you leave...
This is exactly what I'm talking about, the slave mentality, the slave mind.
We are really getting into the slave mentality today, man. People, the goyim, as this meme says, I think Nick Fuentes popularized that, but it's so true, man. The mindset of the Gentile around the world, even if I were to entertain this, okay, if I were going to say, I'm going to stand in line, I'm going to wear a diaper, I'm going to piss and shit all over myself because I want to see some stupid little ball drop in New York, I probably wouldn't tell people that I'm doing it. I probably would keep that to myself. Why am I going to tell people about my defecation patterns, my bowel movements? Are you a urologist?
We live in hell. We live in the gutter.
it's not. There's no escape from this, man. Yeah, these people, you know, people usually say, I don't care about this, right? But they're like, these people can vote. These people can go to Walmart. That's the problem. It's that these people can go to Walmart. It's not that they can vote. It's that they can go to Target while I'm trying to get a delicious treat, or I'm trying to buy some fucking bed sheets, and they can fuck up your life. They can.
These fucking assholes! The fuck is their problem, man?
These people should be doing much less than voting. These people should be, I don't even know where they should go, man. You're standing in line at the New Year's Eve, pissing and shitting on yourself. You've forfeited the rights to even buy food. Let's put it that way. I'll bring it to you. I'll bring it to you because you are not responsible enough to go to a store. Slave mentality, man. It's a slave mentality. Let's see here. Here we have some Nietzschean mentality, actually. Here we have one of the heroes of the show is Bonnie Blue. We love Bonnie Blue over here. Bonnie Blue's a genius. Bonnie Blue is a Nietzschean hero. Bonnie Blue, mad respect to a British lass. And her rival, Miss Lily Phillips, we haven't really touched on before. She slept with 1,113 men in 12 hours. And guess what she did? Guess what this wonderful young lady has done today? Let's see what she did.
Everything that I've read, praise the Lord. Worship Christ with the best of your portions. I know I won't forget all. Everything that I've read, praise the Lord. Worship Christ with the best.
Look, I'm not a theologian. All right. I'm not a theologian. Okay? I don't know. A lot of people are very forgiving of others. A lot of Christians. Okay. I'm not a theologian. I'm not going to tell you that the blood of Christ is not going to wash over you and save you because I don't know that. I'm a postmodern Catholic. That's for Rome to decide. That's not for me. I don't get paid for that. I don't get paid to think about that, so I don't. But this ties into when I went after Russell Brand recently. Dude, I simply said that he's probably grifting people by pretending to be a Christian and a conservative because he's a man of no scruples, because he has rape cases open on him. Okay? I understand he's not indicted. I don't know if he's indicted or not. He's not convicted of it. But it's really convenient to become a Christian, Tucker Carlson loving guy as these rape charges drop. Okay? And in these comments, I got these people saying, who are you to say that Russell Brand can't be saved by the sweet blood of Jesus? I assume this is Protestant stuff, man. Nothing against you Protestants, man. You guys enjoy your hell. You know, we all live in hell. Enjoy yours. It's fine. Not going to hate on Protestantism. Everyone needs their own hell. But they're very defensive about people with unscrupulous past converting or anything like this. Reminds me a lot of like some of the, this is my producer who's of a Muslim background tells me that he always felt a very similar thing with Islamic reversions because they're not conversions. In fact, if you become a Muslim, you don't convert. You actually are referred to as a revert because you were always a Muslim. And if you apostate, if you do apostasy, you were actually never a Muslim to begin with. So I'm not shitting on Lily Phillips, dude. I think that that's pretty cool. You know, that she's able to do this. I think Bonnie Blue's path is a lot cooler, but maybe this is a good grift for her. I'm just surprised. I really don't understand. I know that Catholicism is rising in popularity. I don't know about Protestantism. This looks like an English church, so probably Anglican. You know what? Let's give this a couple centuries. We'll see how it works out for them. It's interesting. It's interesting. I'm not going to hate on her. I'm not even going to hate on the Protestants here. You know, well, let's see. Oh, let's see. Let's give him a chance. Give him a chance. Before we move on, let me catch up with the chat. Well, let's give them a couple centuries. Let's see if it works out for them. They really had me in the first half, but maybe, hey, dude, maybe they win in the end, you know? Devil's IC says, oh, believe me, I had a plan to become a landlord and took a turn to just homestead and live off the land. That's very cool, my friend. I used to think that was something that it was in the cards for me, but I don't know. Sometimes that's romantic, but I like the city. You know, I like it. I like the city. I like being 40 minutes from the city or an hour from the city. I like it. Dude, you know one thing, because I know we have some Fuentes fans here, because I'm sure the lefties will agree by default, dude. Whenever I visit a country, I was in Iceland last year, around this time in January, for a week. It's really cheap to go. If you want to go right now. It's mad cheap. And after a week, I was like, where are the black people? Where are the Hispanic people? I'm not saying I want to bring them here, but you get an inkling. You're like, where's the diversity? Where is it? I understand there may be issues with diversity at times, you know. If you don't speak Spanish and you come to Miami, you may have some issues, but you want something there's something about it that it's just like, where are the other people, you know? But it's still, Iceland is Wakanda for Icelanders, man. I wouldn't want to mess up their shit, you know. It's up to them. But I'm more of a diversity guy. Devil IC says, unless it's a life or death situation, I wouldn't wear a diaper unless absolutely necessary, which is extremely rare. Yeah, that's whack to stand around to something you can see on YouTube Live. Absolutely. Mr. Elu says, Bonnie Blue won't do. I don't know. Spring, how you doing, Spring? Do the Bonnie Blue math. It's like 40 seconds per guy. And women complain men are Mr. Elu says, didn't Jesus hang out with prostitutes? Absolutely, Mr. Elu. But as a postmodern Catholic, my understanding of Catholicism, and I don't get paid to understand it, is that I'm not Jesus. I'm not meant to act like Jesus. That's a Protestant thing. You know, what would Jesus do? I don't have to act like him. That's one of the liberating things about it, you know? So, and isn't the best part of Christianity forgiveness and redemption? I think forgiveness. I'm not sure about redemption. Forgiveness is a great insight. Absolutely. I absolutely think forgiveness is great. I don't have a problem with people repenting sincerely or anything like that. It's just when I see someone like Russell Brand and I'm like, are you hustling people? Is Lily Phillips hustling people? I like hustling. I like a little hucksterism, but it's a bit much. It's a bit much. All right, guys, we gotta make time. All right, we gotta get to it. Let's see here. This is a boomer, I assume, who is a looks maxer. This was something to watch because we are going to go full schizo in this country, bro. Because you would think the boomers would be like, this isn't cool, this looks maxing crap. Obviously, this is ironic, but I think it plays on a real trend.
Okay, well, hello, folks. The new year's upon us, and I am face maxing. I'm hair maxing. I'm scarf maxing. I'm doing all the maxing. I want the side profile of Kevin Deanna. I want the front profile of Jared Taylor. I want the hair of Peter Bremlow. I'm going to get all that in the new year. I vow to achieve this. And if I have to Botox, if I have to do leg extensions, or if I have to do height maxing, I'll do that. We're going to do all the maxing. We're even going to do Vlad the Impaler maxing. So everybody step up, do your maxing, listen to that kid, Clavicular, I think his name is, and try to max out. Have a happy New Year's on New Year's Eve. Don't drink too much and kiss a girl. And I'll see you guys out there.
You know, my response to this movement as it rises, I don't really hate it. I don't think you should be smoking crystal meth to stay lean, though. But I just go to the old adage from the Masterpiece Fight Club. Self-improvement is masturbation. Self-destruction, on the other hand. You know, are we all going to be maxing all the time? Looks maxing, hair maxing. What else are we height maxing? Listen, man, it'd be nice to be like 2 inches taller for me here. I'll be 5'11". That'd actually be cool. But I'm not getting the surgery, you know. What's surprising to me is that this vernacular has made it to the boomers, to the Gen Xers. I think it's going to be cool to watch, man. I think, yeah, fuck it, man. Let them do it. I want to see a boomer looks maxing. It's going to be fun to watch. I'll drive over to Naples and see them looks maxing. How you doing? I hit everything. Vlad the Impaler maxing. What is he having? We're going to be impaling. So don't be surprised when you go home Thanksgiving and your boomer mom tells you, I've been look maxing this year. I've been bone mashing. Been hitting the gym. I've been on that trend. You know, don't be surprised. Don't be surprised. let's continue. Here we have, this is part of our first sort of serious story. Yeah, we have to leave the rest for it to make time. Because we still have Kirk watch and we have Big Jeff watch, Jeffrey Epstein. This is our first story, but it's not a major one, so let's look at it. I just wanted to analyze here this Clavicular fellow who was interviewed by Michael Knowles, who I'm not a fan of. And I really liked what he had to say here about J.D. Vance. Let's watch what he had to say, because I'm a J.D. Vance disrespecter and I am a Gavin Newsom respecter.
This next election cycle, who's going to win? It's going to be Gavin Newsom against J.D. Vance, because J.D. Vance is subhuman and Gavin Newsom mugs.
J.D. Vance is subhuman?
Yeah.
What makes you say that?
He's got a very short total facial width to height ratio. He's obese, very recessed side profile, whereas Newsom is like 6'3" Chad.
So JD's very tall. JD's got to be
still,
6'2",
I mean,
6'3".
Gavin Newsom obviously mogs him to death.
So you're a Newsom head. You prefer Newsom to the vice president.
I'm just telling you who's going to win.
Do you prefer him though?
Honestly, it's hard to say, but Newsom being that much more of a mogger, and like having a president who's like fat and especially that young.
You think I don't think he's fat.
I would say
he's a bigger guy for sure.
He's just like, it's just embarrassing. Like, how are you fat and you expect to like lead a country? You can't even be in shape, you know?
So let's say you got a vote. It's 2028.
I'm voting for Gavin Newsom.
You're voting for Gavin Newsom.
You can't be that subhuman.
So hold on. You got, all right, well, this actually is of a thread with the whole conversation, because you look at these two candidates. You have Gavin Newsom, worst governor in the country. I think we would all agree. Destroyed his state, let its main city burn to the ground because of his incompetence, is a personal, complete derelict, liar, degenerate. But he is good looking. I'll grant you that he's good looking.
Yep.
And kind of looks like Patrick Bateman, American Psycho.
Hey.
And then you have this vice president to President Trump, the transformative right-wing president in our lifetimes, who, do you support Trump or no?
Yeah.
Okay. So you got.
What I like about this exchange here, and we'll watch a little more, is that we have confirmation that the United States is becoming a third world country. I warned you about this before, which is that everyone's interested in politics. When everyone's interested in politics, you might be living in a third world country, my friends. The reason everyone in Kenya cares about politics is because it's do or die. There's no other way to live. That's it. You have to do or die. Okay? You have to get in the grift or be part of the grift. But further to prove this point, and I think Clavicular is a very insightful fellow here for saying this, is this. We are becoming this Baathist, communist, even fascist country with aesthetics, okay? Because what he's saying is completely correct. Americans now, it's a lot like Iraq, okay, in the 90s or something. There's a reason Saddam Hussein would come out there and be a big, strong man, show off his biceps and all that. Because people like that shit. There's a reason Hugo Chavez would come out in that military uniform, all right, in that red beret, because you have to look the part. You have to be ripped. Idiocracy is President Camacho, right? It's this ripped Terry Crews character, all right? That's the president. We are starting to adopt this. I don't think that this is particularly wrong. I don't know if this is a causal thing to make you a third world country. I'm just telling you it's a sign. Okay, when you need the leader to be ripped alpha Chad, you might be living in a third world country. You might be. And you know what? Maybe things will get better. I don't know. But I think it's very insightful to say, because J.D. Vance is a person who doesn't respect himself. I think everyone has said that. Here, Clavicular's claim is that because he's fat, he doesn't respect himself. I would argue more, the guy can't stand up for his wife. He is a meek loser. He dresses like shit. There's a lot of problems with J.D. Vance, right? And Gavin Newsom, as we've always said on the show, like, I love Gavin Newsom. I think Gavin Newsom would be a great manager for the decline of America. He is the Patrick Bateman president that we actually would benefit a lot from. But if we take it down to pure aesthetics, I mean, that's pretty cool. You know, if we can start deciding elections, it would actually make elections more honest, because maybe America can be the first country to cut through this path that says, oh, we have to choose the smartest person in the room. Well, now you have to choose the hottest person who also happens to be smart, because the political parties will have to actually choose smart, hot people, which there's a lot of them. Hot, Chad, ripped, or like Stacy, you know, beautiful woman to be president. Maybe we'll get better policies. Who knows? Because policy has always been Hollywood for ugly people. But we might get more interesting policies if everyone's hot. Maybe there's a theory here, a theory of hotness. We're going to have to give this a few decades to play out, but it would be cool if people start voting based purely on looks, which they already do. Okay, they already do this. Since JFK and Richard Nixon, everyone votes for the more attractive candidate, even subconsciously, except in the last case where we had Kamala Harris versus Donald Trump. I think Kamala Harris was the attractive one in that race, but you know, there's a gender dynamic. We might actually, the only way out is through, my Baudralardians. We have to go through the whole thing. And this might be a way of going through it. Let's catch up with the chat and let's see if we want some more of this. I Everything says, to be fair, would Gavin even care if California burned to the ground? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. My producer, who's in Los Angeles, he was there for the fires. And he was like, dude, this guy doesn't give a fuck. But what he liked about it, what he appreciated as a longtime Los Angeles resident, is that at least he knew the guy didn't give a fuck. You know what I mean? He goes, Gavin Newsom does not care. He's not coming to save me. I've got to figure things out. In a lot of ways, you have to pull yourself up by the jockstrap with some of these psychos. You have to pull yourself up by your jockstrap. You have to take some self-responsibility. This sounds like a whole lot of victim mentality from Michael Knowles. He destroyed the state. I'm sorry, do Californians not have agency? Should they not pick themselves up by their jockstrap? Should they not shed the victim mentality, become unburdened by what has been? Mystery Lou says, Michael Knowles made out with another guy. I did not know that, but I think he played a gay role in a college film. Spring says, if we become a third world country, will we at least have really hot beauty pageant contestants? I think that's baked in, Mr. Spring. I do think that's baked in. Although the gender dynamic in America is very unusual. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. The Anglo countries and the East Asian countries have weird gender dynamics. We'll see. We'll see. Devil IC says testosterone dominates over estrogen. That's biologically true, I believe. Ephra says the thing that I especially did not like about JD is that he did not stand out for his wife and mixed children. Same criticism of Ted Cruz, by the way. Ted Cruz tomorrow could come out to me and say, hey, Leo, I have the greatest plan in the world. I'm going to be like, dude, he called your wife ugly and you're cucking to him. You know, you can't respect that. It's like a traitor. You know, you can't respect a traitor. You just can't do it. You can't do it. You can't do it. Spring says the problem with California is that we have way too many agencies. Dude, the thing is, because I love California. California is my favorite place in the world. Whenever I'm in California, I'm at my happiest. Whenever I'm in San Francisco drinking some gay blue-haired maid latte, enjoying a gluten-free donut, you know, watching the sunset. It's the happiest I ever am. I always have a picture taken of me when I buy that first latte in San Francisco. I'm like, this is great. So California may have its problems, but I think that's the reason that Gavin survives, is because the state just, it's beautiful. And it still works. It's the fifth largest economy in the world, right? It still works despite all of its problems. Puts it in a pickle. It's kind of like it's kind of a Dutch disease. You know, if you're such a beautiful place, it's kind of like being a country of oil. It's very easy to screw that up for the day-to-day, but the country's still going to do great. Equatorial Guinea is doing great. Now, living in Equatorial Guinea might suck. Let's watch a little more here and move on.
This vice president, handpicked by Trump, who is extremely intelligent, very right-wing. I think he's a pretty good-looking guy. I don't know, maybe I guess you disagree. But he's all these things, checks all these boxes, would have all these great policies. And regardless, you're going to pick the pro-mass migrant, pro-trans, pro-murder the babies, pro-burn the cities to the ground, pro-BLM Democrat, because he's skinnier than the conservative vice president.
100 times over. JD Vance, would he be a better candidate and probably closer to me in terms of policy than Gavin Newsom? Yes, but he's just not going to be good enough to be deserving. I think the right has kind of let down the voters for the longest time. So I think I don't really think that right wingers should just give support to these jesters who continue to underdeliver on their promises. Just let the Democrats win. That's kind of what I'm talking about in terms of just like why I don't support Vance as a voter. But
so you're saying no, they shouldn't vote for any Republican. The right wingers should not vote for the Republican.
Not until the right actually wants to do the things that they're promising.
So is there a candidate you would prefer? I assume you don't actually want to vote for Newsom. Maybe you do. Maybe you are a Democrat. No. Okay. So you.
I think that's the most alpha we can get out of here. And this young man is wise beyond his years. I've said this to fucking Democrats. I said it yesterday, man. These people don't care about you. They don't care about your interests. They don't care about what you actually want. And I'm sure Republicans feel the same way, man. Whether you love or hate illegal immigration, are those deportation numbers where they say they are while they're making all these memes that cost $1 billion? $1 billion? We looked it up on the show. $1 billion is what Kristi Noem is paying for these memes. Are you getting what you voted for? I don't think you're getting what you voted for. This is great. Dude, as we get more apathetic, we might end up in a Czechoslovakia situation. We need our Václav Havel. A guy who will be able to channel the apathy into more apathy. Because this guy, wise beyond his years, I don't vote. I don't tell people not to vote. But I don't even see the point in voting. It's a poor form of communication. But even if you think it works, have you gotten anything that you voted for? Anything at all? Anything? I don't think you have. I think you're fucked. All right, let's move on from Clavicular. A rising and important voice. We'll leave this for a Vivek shitting on. We'll leave this for a Vivek shitting on too. All right, let's move on to Kirk Watch so we can make time.
We are Charlie Kirk!
It's a fact. AI's taken over the world, and I don't think people are prepared for that. Grok can do that. I think AI is way more powerful than we give it credit for. ChatGPT can do that pretty well. Who can use AI the quickest and the best?
So we actually have to go back to the same fella here, Clavicular, who gave an interesting point of view as to why Charlie Kirk actually died. I'm not sure if this is true or not, and it's not exactly a resurrection as we've seen them through AI. But with the next one is going to be great, man. But I thought this was so funny. I could not pass this up. I couldn't pass this up. Let's see what the theory is as to why Charlie Kirk actually died and how he could have prevented it.
Would Charlie Kirk have gotten assassinated if he were Chad? Well, probably not, and here's why. Good-looking people experience something called the halo effect, so it's quite possible that if Charlie were to be better looking, someone wouldn't have hated him enough to assassinate him. What happened to him is quite terrible, and this might be an insensitive video to make, but I'm really trying to bring awareness to how brutal the black pill is. Looks really are going to determine the quality of your life to a high degree, so if you're not doing everything you can to maximize them, you're missing out.
My question here is, how does JFK factor into this? Or Abraham Lincoln? Was Abraham Lincoln an attractive guy in his time? I don't think you can really think of these figures as attractive or ugly nowadays. Although I'm sure he was an ugly man. Like, if we looked at him now, I'm sure he's an ugly guy, Abraham Lincoln. But how does JFK fit into all this, I think some attractive people get killed. I don't know about this halo effect. But it really, if this is a reason, someone call Candace Owens here, the halo effect may be the reason that Charlie Kirk is dead. It may be the reason. And Charlie Kirk was not an attractive man. I'm not trying to say he was attractive. I don't think he was super ugly. I just don't think he was an attractive man. But all right. I mean, dude, if this is literally true, I don't know. I'm not an online looks maxer type. But if this is true, then we should start looks maxing out of pure survival. It's actually true. All right. Let's move on here. Here, I need to introduce you to, if someone can find this woman, you need to get her to contact. This is the greatest thing ever. Let's see here.
Never going to Shinezi karaoke again.
When the cost is high, he lives for Jesus, unafraid to die. We are Charlie Kirk, we
Never going to Shinezi karaoke again.
I know this seems silly. And it is. But this is so much more important for a Baudrillardian than you might get your first impression of, okay? This young lady is a Baudrillardian hero. What she's done here is, I mean, just, you have to really think about this. Charlie Kirk is assassinated. He's memed into a post-life existence. He is there. You know, he is living in the internet forever. He has defeated death. The first guy, although we're going to follow with Big Jeff, who has also done that, the first guy to defeat death almost immediately, okay? And then we have people who either for grifting or just for fun wanted him to live forever through song as well, through song and dance. So we have this AI song, We Are Charlie Kirk, We Carry the Flame. And this song is being reinforced even more, whether it was AI or not, by this young lady here who goes on to sing it in karaoke. She had them select an AI song about an AI man who is still here to sing about it. I mean, is this the Truman Show or what? This man will not rest. And that is usually a bad thing, but in this case, it's actually a good thing. It is a good thing because he will live on in this beautiful way. I mean, to have a young lady sing about your life from the AI song script of the song that was made to celebrate your life and your AI death or rebirth. We're getting into levels of inception here. You're going to have to drop some acid pretty soon if you want to understand the world, because this is some acid level shit. You have to start taking acid. Yeah, that is not real advice. Do not take acid. But this is getting too psychedelic, even for me. Even for me. All right. So we didn't have much more for Kirkwatch there, but we're introducing under Kirkwatch. I'll make a title card for it because, as I said, Jeff Epstein has kind of defeated death in his own way. And more importantly, he has defeated his reputation after death. He has been exonerated of his crimes. You know, his crimes of trafficking young women. Jeffrey Epstein has defeated death in a way where he is now cool. You know, for anyone that watched Silence of the Lambs, you know, Buffalo Bill is the main villain there, and he's cutting up women to make a skin suit. You can't make Buffalo Bill cool. You know, but Jeffrey Epstein, through death, has escaped the justice system and death because now he is cool. What? Let's see, because these edits, man, these are really something. These are really something. We're going to have to keep up with these. I'm going to have to make an Epstein card. Let's continue. He's a Christmas-loving guy, Christmas-loving financier. Here we have, the caption is the highlight reel.
Take down all the mirrors in my house. I hate my nose, eyes, and my mouth. I hate the jokes I laugh about. I hate the hoes I'm sad about. She calls up my phone, ringing, 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 ringing. Baby, just leave me alone. She saw all my flaws. Baby, won't you tell me what the fuck I'm doing wrong? I hate the feeling of my doubts. I wanna die on top my couch. For you, baby. How do I really even matter to you when you was outside laughing with another dude? Oh, you make me hate my face so much. Oh, when will I ever feel that? Take down all the mirrors in my house. I hate my nose, eyes, and my mouth. I hate the jokes
Isn't this charismatic to you? That's the crazy thing about it, is as you watch it, you're going, this guy's kind of cool. He hangs out with cool people, interesting people. You know, I'm not a Noam Chomsky fan, but I'd like to get a drink with him. I'd like to talk to him about the Khmer Rouge. He's hanging out over here in the beginning with Steven Pinker. Don't let Steven Pinker forget that. Right there, you have Steven Pinker, that he was buddies with him. I'd like to talk to him about physics. He goes on backroading. He gets a little face mask, good skincare, looks maxing. He gets on the yacht, has custom jackets. Look at the jacket here. Someone in Miami actually bought this jacket. Where is it? The Jeffrey Epstein embroidery. Look at that. Look at that. Dressed up as Che Guevara. This makes you curious enough. Look at it. Good with animals. How do you do this? When you die, you should want a fate like that of Jeffrey Epstein and Charlie Kirk, where you live forever and any transgression you did is, in the words of the youngins, mogged by the aura of your picture. This is insane. Has this ever happened before? I guess a little bit.
Legendary players do. So Kobe Bryant.
I guess it has happened in the sense that Pablo Escobar and Al Capone are cool now. They're cool guys. But it used to take like 100 years, right? Like this Big Jeff here, it happened in like two.
So Kobe Bryant broke his fucking hand, and he did that. That's what legendary players do. LeBron, legendary, 3-1 comeback, came back. Kevin Durant got his foot on the line, went into overtime. He didn't score, bro. He didn't put up no buckets. Stop calling that man legendary because he won with Steph Curry, the greatest shooter ever, Klay Thompson, a top 3 shooter ever. Stop calling that, because when Westbrook went down, he got smoked out by Memphis. When they played the Spurs, he got smoked out. When they went up against Golden State, he blew a 3-1 lead. He choked. Legendary, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, even fucking Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Magic Johnson as a rookie, 45 points, 17 rebounds, triple-double, Larry Bird, legendary. These are legendary. Hakeem Olajuwon is more legendary than Kevin Durant. That's what we talking about right now. Stop talking about KD like he's this guy. He's not that guy. He's a Slim Reaper. He's garbage when it matters. He's garbage.
This is obviously ironic, right? You know, legendary PDFs, right? But even in the irony, it's what it does is, I'm sure there's probably some French or German word for it, but imagine this. Imagine doing something so heinous in a way that is so blatant and at scale that you almost sit back and admire it. You know, it's kind of like the Zodiac Killer has that same reputation where people are just like, how the fuck did he do this? This is crazy. You know, obviously people want to catch him. He's a murderer. But people making these types of memes, even this is like, what? What are we doing here, folks? Like, now we're competing on the best pedophile? Out of my mind, man. I hate everything says people have been calling him Big E lately. Big E, Big Jeff. Big Jeff. Let's see here. Here we have another. This one here is a real Baudulardian one because we see the edit being made as it's being made.
What's your name? Jeffrey Epstein.
Oh, yeah, look on, yeah. I came in with a saw. Oh, yeah, I came in with a saw. Bitch, I flare red raw. Yeah, bitch, I flare red raw. Yeah, I came in with a saw. Oh, yeah, I came in with a saw.
What is fascinating here is that the text is in Spanish. The private islands of Jeffrey Epstein in the Caribbean. Incognito mode is activated. So Jeffrey Epstein has even defeated his linguistic, I don't even know if he spoke Spanish. He's defeated his linguistic limitations in death. Where people, this is weird because it's kind of like when Pablo Escobar was starting to be admired in America, I think Narcos played a big part. I was confused by it because most Colombians that I had met did not like him. You'll meet some that like him because he made their lives better. Most of them don't like him. And I was like, how do these Americans, how are they fucking with Pablo? You know, they love Pablo. And now in Latin America, we're doing the opposite. We're going to, Jeffrey Epstein is cool to Latin Americans. And for our final one here we have another defense of Epstein through memes.
Sexual assault allegations ruin a man's life. Name one. Name one man whose life has been ruined by sexual assault allegations.
Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah, I came in with a saw. Oh, yeah, I came in with a saw. Bitch, I flare red raw. Yeah, bitch, I.
Sexual assault allegations.
All right, so that's it for Kirk Watch and Epstein Watch. We're going to have to make an Epstein Watch banner. Because today we have to get into, we might get to this, dude. This is insane. What Tucker Carlson put out with this retard We'll get into that, okay? Maybe, if we have the time. Firstly, I have to show you, I saw a clip today because it seems that Zohran had his second day in office today. We're going to talk about his first and second. I actually got this footage here that apparently this is what happened today. He did this.
We take Gotham from the corrupt, the rich, the oppressors of generations who have kept you down with myths of opportunity, and we give it back to you, the people.
I thought that Zohran was Indian, and then I saw this and I was like, what? What? He's dressed as Bane from The Dark Knight Rises? So let's get to it. And I also want to cover the speech that the Imam gave yesterday that the People's Press recommended for us. We have to start here. Let me do the cue card.
Are you a communist?
No, I am not. I don't think that we should have billionaires. No, I call myself a democratic socialist. No, I have many critiques of capitalism. There must be a better distribution of wealth for all of God's children in this country. What I'm focused on is making the city affordable for everyone, not to win an ideological argument.
So let's see, because this is what I was waiting for. What's more important here, as we know on this channel, is not really the event, but the effect, the symbol, what happens. We have the conservative freak out starting. Let's watch here the first one that I found, which was interesting, which is actually by a Romanian gentleman, a fellow Latino. Let's see what he had to say about Zohran.
We will replace the frigidity of rugged individualism with the warmth of collectivism.
Famous words spoken by every communist in history. Hi, my name is Bogdan, and this is exactly how communism came to power in my country, Romania, via collectivism. First, they confiscated private land. Then they used terror to enforce.
I'm going to stop here really quick. I'm not here to Romania explain or Ceausescu explain to a Romanian. I'm not that kind of guy. I'm sure he has more insight here. However, I don't think this is how communism made it into Romania. I think it might have had something to do with World War II. I mean, dude, people just make shit up. And I don't think Ceausescu won an election in the 1940s, and for that reason, Romania became a communist country. I think it might have to do with the United States, Great Britain, and the Soviet Union being allies to defeat fascism in Asia and Europe. And they gave Romania to the Soviets. I think that may be the reason that collectivism was imposed, why communism was imposed. I don't think, we're kind of starting the story here in the middle, okay? I don't think that we go to the first Ceausescu election. How exactly did communism get into Romania? I think we have to think about World War II. But I'm not here to Romania explain. Let's continue.
Collectivism. The regular Romanian citizens were arrested, beat up, humiliated publicly, left to rot in prison, and some even executed. The next step for collectivism was destroying the independent farmer class. These people were a threat to the regime because they were able to stay self-sufficient and did not rely on the state. Independence was and still is the biggest threat to communism. They made it in such a way that owning more than others was a crime. Once all that happened, the communists started confiscating the food from farmers, leaving families to die. They also confiscated the livestock raised by people. This resulted in famine, malnutrition, and the collapse of productivity. Romania literally went from being the #1 exporter of grain in Europe to chronic shortages of food. But that wasn't enough. The communists then banned free market. No free sale of crops, no private trades, no bargaining, classic socialist failure. But collectivism wasn't just economic, it was cultural as well. In Romania, they attacked the church and religious people. They replaced family authority with party authority, all with one goal in mind: replace faith and family.
I see we have moved past Sharia law, shawarma law being imposed in New York, and we actually have a state atheist. You have not elected a Muslim radical. You have actually elected Carlos Fonseca, and the Sandinistas before the Ortegas you have elected, state atheist. All right, I get it. All right. And further, I would add, he's talking about the free market. I've been looking for this free market my whole life. I don't know where it is. I've found it in some corners of the third world where you can barter. In China, it exists. I've seen it in China where you can negotiate prices. I don't really see this free market anywhere, but all right, let's continue.
With the state. 15 years later, the communists declared victory. 90% of all farmland in Romania was collectivized. Bottom line, Romanian collectivism was forced, violent, economically disastrous, morally corrupt, and designed to control, not help. Only for today in the United States of America to be in New York City. I swear to God, some Americans are the dumbest morons on the planet.
That is true. Some Americans are some of the dumbest morons on the planet. That is true. That is true. That is actually true. That is true. Inarguably. I guess that we are going to go through dekulakization in New York. If you own a goat or a lamb in your apartment on the Upper East Side or in Harlem or in Brooklyn, you might be forced to give that to the state. It's going to be tough, man, for all those farmers in New York. It's going to be real tough for you guys, okay? I hate everything. You better be careful because if you're hiding any grain in your apartment, if you're hiding a goat, we're going to have some trouble here. We're going to go around. Give me your fucking cattle. All right, I guess Zohran is a dekulakilizer. He's doing dekulakization. All right, that's what's happening. I hate everything says a better attack would be that Zohran's going to create bureaucracy. I think invariably, yes, sir, that would be a better attack because here saying that that you're going to get state atheism that goes around confiscating grain and goats. All right. I know this says, no, I'm just going to lose my stuff to some nonprofit. That would be a reasonable attack. I agree. Oh my God, man. It's just, this is crazy. All right, let's see what else is going on. Let's see what else the conservatives are up to. They are mad, obviously, because Zohran Mamdani. Zohran Mamdani, as we know, is a member of the Ku Klux Klan. He's a communist, a jihadist, a fascist, a Islamist, what else did they say? A racist, an anti-Semite. And he's also a big fan of Hitler. If you weren't aware, Zohran Mamdani is a huge fan of Hitler. He loves Hitler, and not because of the edits. He loves Hitler. Hitler is his guy. Zohran Mamdani walks around with a copy of Mein Kampf every day. At the DSA meetings, he was the odd man out who was saying, hey, we should read some Hitler 5-year plans instead of some of the Stalin 5-year plans, because I really think this Hitler guy makes a lot of sense. And because of that, he kind of hit it well. He actually threw up a Hitler salute, a Roman salute at his inauguration. Let's see how it compares to Elon Musk's Roman salute. Oh, wow. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Look at that. And here we have ABC is silent. CBS is silent. PBS is silent. CNN is silent. MSNBC is silent. 60 Minutes is silent. You get it. Zohran Mamdani doesn't wear a MAGA hat, so he decided to be silent. Right. Okay. So you also have that to look forward to. I hate everything. You might be getting some German fascist policies, apparently. You might, I don't know, you might start sending some stuff to Spanish people so that they could defeat the communists in the Civil War. I guess that's what's going to happen. All right, let's keep going. What else have they got to say? Again, the same thing, the same freak out. Here's a list of all the news networks who have not covered Zohran Mamdani's salute. Every single one of them wrote stories on Elon Musk's salute. Do you get it yet? What am I supposed to get? Conservatives loves to say this. Do you get it yet? Do you get it yet? What am I supposed to get? Please tell me. Instead of asking me the question, can you tell me what I'm supposed to get? Can you tell me what I'm supposed to get? Am I supposed to get that when Elon Musk throws up a Hitler salute, I shouldn't care? I already don't care. I don't care because Elon Musk is a moron. I don't care. He's a drug addict. Okay. Am I supposed to care? What am I supposed to get here? That the media is biased? Haven't you been saying this for 40 years? Isn't this the reason that Fox News exists? The conservative mind is something to behold. Is something to behold. Here we have more freak out. Let's zoom in here. This is always in poor taste. This is Ashley 47, Ash, mom, wife, Navy veteran, military spouse, former RSBN. I talk about politics, retweeted by the White House, a content creator, this young, beautiful lady here. What did she have to say? They flew planes into the Twin Towers when I was in high school. And now one is the mayor in the city where it happened. Try and vote your way back out of this one, New York. Right. Right. I forgot that Zohran Mamdani is a card-carrying member of Al-Qaeda. You know, if I were former military, you know what I'd be pissed off about in reference to the people who flew planes into buildings is that a guy who was actually a member is the president of Syria, and Donald Trump loves him. What are we doing here? What are we doing? The conservative mind, dude, the liberal mind is really frustrating to me, but the conservative mind is just on another planet. It's another planet. All right. Before we get to this, let's catch up here because I forgot. We didn't have time. We have to show what happened yesterday here. This was covered on YouTube. We have here to begin. Conservatives hate this woman called Miss Rachel. I'm not a child. My understanding is that this is children's programming. I'm not a Miss Rachel watcher. Miss Rachel is, I guess she must be some sort of communist villain who hates America and wants everyone to die. Because I don't know how she gets into this on her children's show. I sincerely don't know. I don't watch children's programming. I guess conservatives like watching children's programming. I guess why don't conservatives turn on the Harry Potter movies and, I don't know, listen to some like the most base level Elton John. You can listen to Crocodile Rock and Yellow Submarine. Listen to the Ringo stuff that the Beatles did because you are. This is the. All right. They hate Miss Rachel. Poor Miss Rachel. Okay. Poor Miss Rachel. And she was a part of the inauguration committee for Zohran Mamdani, and this was important enough that Fox News took time out of its day to cover it. Let's see what they had to say about Miss Rachel.
Digital content creator Miss Rachel named New York City Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani's inauguration committee. She's going to be a part of it. Miss Rachel, whose real name is Rachel Griffin Curso, is an advisor ahead of the Bloc Party swearing-in ceremony on January 1st. Like Mamdani, she's a controversial figure, and she has been accused of posting pro-Palestinian propaganda online. Other notable attendees include Senator Bernie Sanders, actress and activist Cynthia Nixon, and actor Cal Penn.
Thank you. Thank you for informing me that Miss Rachel is here. This is why conservatives keep winning, actually, because they cover fucking this. This is why they're winning, because they cover Miss Rachel.
Advisor.
You guys know I don't follow the topic about Israel and Palestine. I really don't. But I don't care if Steve from Blue's Clues, that was my guy. You guys remember Steve from Blue's Clues? I don't care if Steve from Blue's Clues is a literal communist who wants to kill everyone. I don't care because he's making children's programming. I don't care. Why don't conservatives do that? Why don't they turn on some Miss Rachel for a little bit, huh? Let's do that. Here I wanted to show what's this guy's name? People's Press yesterday was saying that this was the best speech of the bunch in the inauguration. I watched it, and it's pretty good as far as they go. I think it lacked a little joy, to be honest, but let's watch.
Let us pray. Ya Allah, Ya Rahman, Ya Arhamar Rahimin, most merciful of those who show mercy, we turn to you on this day from our city with hopeful hearts. Thank you for this moment. Thank you for the amazing individuals you have gathered here, diverse in color, language, journey, and name, but united in purpose, stitched together by shared hopes, all yearning to build something meaningful, lasting, and rooted in love, dignity, respect, and justice, no longer for the few, but for all. We come before you mindful that moments like this do not arrive on their own. They are carried forward by sacrifice, by organizing, by courage, by people who refuse to accept that the way things were was the way they had to remain.
Say so.
We come knowing that this day stands on the shoulders of so many who were told to wait their turn,
That's right.
to quiet their demands, to lower their expectations, but instead chose to believe that another New York was possible. We recognize that belief is not abstract. It was practiced by tenants organizing against displacement, by workers demanding fair wages, by parents advocating for their children's futures, by communities who kept showing up even when the odds said they should not. We gather today with hearts shaped by this city, by its noise in its neighborhoods, by its subways and sanctuaries, by the dreams carried in many languages and the prayers whispered on crowded blocks. We thank you for New York City, for a place that has taught the world how difference can become strength, how survival can become solidarity, how strangers can become neighbors, and for being a place that taught us that a young immigrant, democratic socialist Muslim can be bold enough to run and brave enough to win. Not by abandoning conviction, but by standing firmly within it. Not by shrinking who he is, but by trusting that authenticity can move.
I see Pajarito Lindo says, I can't handle all the cringe from the inauguration. It's too much. Listen, I get it. People's Press, like, this is nice. Like, I'm going to say that, I'm going to tell them that we reacted to this. I don't hate this. You know, it's nice. And I think it would be good if the rest of the inauguration were more joyful, you know, because it's a nice message. You know, you're bringing in all the religious people, salam alaikum, you know, to the Muslims out there. But, you know, there's a great show, man, dude. If you have not seen this show, guys, you got to watch this. This is one of the best shows ever made. It's called Carlos. It's about Carlos the Jackal. Okay. This is a great show. And I showed this to a friend of mine. Here we go. So you can see here. You gotta watch this.
Momento de la acción. Planeta, todos los revolucionarios juntos luchando al mismo tiempo. ¿Tú me dices arrogante? Pues sí, no jodas, soy un arrogante.
How long have you been with us? You are still a boy. I need men.
So you don't trust me because I'm young?
Yeah.
This is a very good show, and it's about Carlos the Jackal, who was a Venezuelan terrorist, one of my people, you know, Tren de Aragua before Tren de Aragua. And he was a communist who was aligned with the Palestinian movement, and he did the famous OPEC siege, and he was involved in Entebbe in some ways. And I was watching the show with a friend and his wife. And his wife she's Somalian. And during this show, you know, Carlos the Jackal is really talking up this communism stuff. And he's like, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And she just started laughing hysterically. And she was like, dude, these commies are so cringe. Like, they were even cringe back then. Where these blankets, as Lenin would call them, you know, these people who like to talk shit. They really like to talk. You know, they're good talkers, but they like to talk too much. So this is a nice speech and everything. But this is, I get it, but where is the joy? Where is the Charlie XCX, you know? This would have been a nice break, but don't worry, People's Press, because I have actually enjoyed some of the Zohran stuff from today, which we're going to get into, okay? Let's watch here, before we get to that, some Fox News freakouts here about Zohran Mamdani, which are important because they have not stopped.
As the clock struck midnight, Democratic socialist Zohran Mamdani was officially sworn in as mayor of America's largest city, where he plans to make his anti-capitalist agenda a reality. Our next guest warns those ideas are nothing new and have failed many times. So what does it mean for America in the midterms in 2026? Fox News contributor James Freeman joins us now. James, you got this piece out, and you know, you're right, well, it's eloquent, but tell me really what the point is here for Zohran Mamdani. Like, you know, he goes down to the subway station. Is he trying to say that he's bringing New York back to what it used to be or turning it into something new?
Yeah, thanks, Joey. I think he's trying to say he's going to somehow return public transit to its former glory and generally expand city services, but the metaphor he's just created is really something. You see him there in underground. This is a subway station that has been abandoned for the last 80 years. It was one of the original subway stations, and then when they brought in new cars,
We can't continue because this goes on for 3 minutes. They are not sending their best, man. I think that, and you can hear it in their voice, they're tired. They spent a whole 9 months yelling and screaming, all sorts of insane shit. And now they're saying, he wants to make public transit work. What a clown. Let's see what else we got to say. This one here's a little bit more aggressive. Fox News, man, you guys shot your shot, man. You shot your shot.
Strategist and Miami GOP committeewoman Angie Wong and Democratic strategist Madeline Somerville. Thank you to both for being here on this new year, a new era in New York City, if you will. Now comes the governing, as CB just put it. There was a fascinating op-ed in the New York Post. It's really rather scathing, actually, from Tuesday. Being in the state legislature has prepared him only to recite leftist nostrums without having a clue about how the real world works. His glib rhetoric, spiced with anti-Semitism and a roster of dicey aides, illustrate that he doesn't understand how fragile public safety and the economy are. Most alarming, Mamdani appears oblivious to the clear possibility that his pie-in-the-sky policies could produce versions of the fiscal and crime crises the city suffered through. Angie, I want to start with you because this addresses a lot of the things that Republicans were so concerned about.
By the way, this is the head of the Miami GOP that's going to speak here. In case you're not aware, Miami is broke. We're being investigated by Florida Doge because it's broke. The city is broke. Okay, so these Republican mayors and these Democratic mayors, it seems like they go broke anywhere, and it doesn't really matter what the party is. They don't give a shit. So interviewing the Miami GOP lady is pretty funny to me. It's pretty funny because this city is broke.
Meteoric rise happened and this remarkable campaign got underway. Your thoughts?
Yeah, and I think Michael Goldwyn is right to say this, and I agree with him because New York City, and anyone who's lived in New York long enough, we've seen this movie before in the 1970s and the 1990s when the city was bankrupt and we had to fire teachers and we had to fire police officers. This can't happen again, and I hope Mamdani, although he's very young, I hope he can learn from the mistakes of past mayors and learn not to do this again. But his woke policies and his, give everything for free for everyone, that is.
Shut up! Shut the fuck up! You have no right to take people to trust. Will you shut up? Shut up! Shut up! Shut up!
I live in hell, dude. This city is run by fucking morons. Angie Wong. His woke policies. Can you explain to me why Miami is broke despite our non-woke policies, please? You dumb bitch. You dumb bitch. Living in Miami is hell. This is my hell. My hell is watching people who are here in Miami, who are responsible for this city becoming a shithole. We have lost population 2 years in a row. And she's telling fucking Zohran Mamdani of how she's going to ruin his city. Instead of doing this interview, why don't you fix the city, which is in hell? As a Bajalardi, I'm not attached to the material, but the not even the hypocrisy, the audaciousness, the audaciousness. I had everything says Sean from AGW always gives the best criticism on Nami. I saw one of his videos recently, dude. He's pretty. I think he's the most grounded, because now it's the communist is going to be woke. You know, I really want to see conservatives, because they love making up history. Can we start saying the reason that communism failed is because it was woke? They do retcon history for everything, right? Why don't they do that? Why don't they go and start saying that the reason that the Soviet Union didn't work is because they were woke? Why don't they say that? Why don't they say the French Revolution failed because it was woke? Insanity. I can't even. Let's watch a little more, but I literally do. This shit makes me lose my mind, because I know my people. I know these Miami grifters, bro. I know them. And to see them be this blatant
is going to bankrupt the cities. And you can already tell he's looking to pull federal funds. That's why he met with President Trump. I don't know if President Trump's going to really play that way. So I would like to see him actually have a balanced budget to take things out of the woke theories and actually apply it into a busy city like New York. We want him to succeed. We do not want him to fail. As much as Republicans would love the talking points going into the midterms and thereafter, we would want to see him actually succeed, because New York City is a financial capital of the world. We cannot have this fail.
Madeline, Mayor.
That's enough. That's enough for me. I'm sorry. That's enough. They might as well have sent a Miami bro, dude. They should have sent a Miami bro. Yo, what's up? They just elected this socialist? Bro, that's fucked up, man. He's going to fuck up New York. That would be more dignified, a Miami Neanderthal, than this dumb bitch. This city is burning. This city sucks. And she's over here complaining about Zohran Mamdani, who hasn't even done anything yet. All right, let's get to what Zohran Mamdani has done yet, because we have some interesting stuff. Firstly, I have to commend him, because as you guys know, I'm not a big fan of the socialist, the DSA type stuff. But there is something cool that he's doing here. Okay, this is pretty cool. All right, this is reminds me a lot of a guy that I was a huge fan of. I will always be a fan of him. And guess what? So was Trump, and so was the left. So if you disagree, go take it up with Trump, which is López Obrador in Mexico. I really liked López Obrador. I think that he was an old school commie who saw the limitations of government, was checked a little bit by Donald Trump, and he was able to deliver for his people. Mexico is in its position today, not because of the PRI and the other corrupt politicians, but because of this old communist, López Obrador, who actually was the most fiscally responsible president during COVID. Okay? One of the things that he did, because I went after he was inaugurated, he actually abandoned Los Pinos, which is it was the Mexican White House. And that's where the presidents used to live. And he opted instead to live in his house. Now, if you listen to people who didn't like him, they'll be like, oh, he was stealing money. He didn't give a shit about this. This is just populism crap. I don't care. That kind of gesture is at least interesting, because I got to see López Obrador's house. I got to go to the Mexican White House. Okay. I see Mr. Elu says, what do you think about Lula's first term, King Leo? I've never been a Lula fan, man. I've never been a Lula fan. I found Lula to be, the thing is, anyone who's president of Brazil, to me, is never going to be able to do anything, whether they're on the right or left. Brazil is just a mess of a country. It's a mess. I know that people praise him for, I remember Michael Brooks was a huge fan of him. But Lula, to me, he always struck me. He's a very smart and conniving guy. I give him that. But I've never really liked what he did. And I think he tried to play everyone. He tried to be kind of like Erdogan, but he wasn't able to pull it off. So let's see here, Zohran, what he did on his first day, which is very López Obrador.
Morning. Morning. How are you?
Doing well. How are you?
Good. When are you moving in? To Gracie?
First train ride down.
Really?
So look, if you're cynical, you say, oh, this is a photo op. This is stupid. He's taking the train to portray a certain image. Any Bajalardian knows that the image is what matters. In fact, the reality doesn't matter. And here, look, I'm sure even I hate everything. Buddy, if you're on the train and you run into Zohran and he charms you for a couple of minutes, you're going to remember that for the rest of your life. Come on, dude. You're going to remember that. Mayor Suarez can't do that. I've actually met Mayor Suarez, the Miami piece of shit, and he's not a charmer. He's a piece of shit. So, but I think Zohran would be able to charm you. You'd be interested. So, look at this, Joey Salads, all a performance. Yeah, dude, what do you think Trump is doing? You think any of that's legitimate? So, look, this is at least cool. You know, I'm going to take the train. I'm going to be with my people. Let's see if he keeps it up. I think what he should do, to be honest, dude, this would be some real badass shit, is to make Gracie Mansion a museum and do the same thing that Lopez Obrador did. This kind of like populism stuff, it's actually kind of cool, man, because I saw what happened when Lopez Obrador did it, which is, dude, if you were right wing or left wing or a foreign tourist, everyone was going to Los Pinos. They were like, yo, this place is dope. If you abandon Gracie Mansion and make it a museum, you might be able to attract people to come for tourism, you know? Like it would be cool to see that, you know, have Gracie Mansion as a museum. Hey, this was the governor's mansion for however long, a century, and now everyone's going to do it from their apartment. It's very similar to one of my heroes, Enrico Mattei, who did similar things in Italy in the private sector. Mr. Elu says Bolsa Familia King. Dude, that's the thing, is any of these welfare programs, I just think that Brazil is not at the level where it can do that. You know the old joke about Brazil? Brazil is the country of the future and it always will be. And that's what, because it's too technocratic for that country. You know, if Bolsonaro did anything right, it was his anti-environmentalism. Because we had a clip, we'll look at it on Tuesday, of the president of Guyana who was fighting back the BBC interviewer who was telling him that they shouldn't drill for oil. He was saying, fuck you, we need to develop. You developed, and now you're going to tell us what to do. That's how I kind of feel about Lula, where it's like, dude, these technocratic Norwegian-style programs. Lula famously said that if it weren't for the American embargo, Cuba would be Norway. And, dude, that's not true. That is not fucking true. You can love Cuba all you want. That's not true. In my opinion, it's not true. So that's why I have my differences with him. Everything says every mayor and governor has done this before. They always do it for good press. I remember Bloomberg used to take the train. Right, and this is an interesting thing where what's happening here is the magnification. It's kind of like when he campaigned with the unindicted co-conspirator, right? Where they said he's campaigning with this guy who's a terrorist. And you find out that Bloomberg did too. So they're going to magnify things that are normal in order to bring someone down. And that speaks more to, this speaks to, what's important here is the symbol and the effect, which is that conservatives seem like they're going to be picking on this guy. It's going to be the talisman. He's actually the new AOC in that way. And you're going to see articles about how Zohran Mamdani is the dumbest guy in America for the next 6 years. Have fun with that. It's going to be a lot of fun. Let's continue. Here we have him. This was another photo op, if we can call him that. Here he came in to do the boots on the ground approach, inspecting housing and how it's being upkept by landlords.
When did this happen?
I can't remember exactly the year.
The year?
More than years.
Mayor Zohran Mamdani inspecting broken floor tiles in an apartment on Clarkson Avenue in Prospect Lefferts Gardens, getting a first-hand look at the deteriorating conditions, from an eroding bathtub surface to a rust-covered, corroded bathroom pipe and red paint splashed about.
And you told the landlord about this?
Yes.
And what was the response?
Call some numbers, but nobody want to do anything about it.
Residents in this same building and in others owned by the landlord Pinnacle Realty say they've experienced similar conditions, from leaking bathroom ceilings to moldy drywall. Tenant unions rallying in response, demanding stronger tenant protections.
When did this happen?
This is, again, more of this populism, but it's not ugly. You got to give these DSA guys this. I mean, this is the first DSA candidate that's won that I'm aware of. I guess AOC counts. But at local office, because we saw when Zohran was running, we watched the documentary Spin, because there was another guy who tried to do this in the 90s. This is pretty interesting to see him on the ground doing this kind of sort of technocratic populism, but in a city that can kind of sustain it because it's New York, and fighting the landlords. I don't think the landlord class is beloved by anyone in New York at the moment. I mean, we saw the clips of Reason Magazine showing landlords that have abandoned units and they won't rent them out because they won't make money on them. So this is actually making living affordable, but also nice. You know, it's cool. And it's a cool photo op. Lopez Obrador did this kind of stuff too. Chavez did this kind of stuff. Everyone does this kind of stuff. Obama did this to an extent. Trump did this, definitely, with the McDonald's thing. And, you know, dude, if you're going after the tenement, people who are running tenements with windows, because tenements didn't have windows, I think everyone can kind of get behind this, man. I think a lot of people, this goes to a wider theory. You know, I thought about it over the break where I was like, you know, I've never defined myself with a political term, but if I were a communist, I think I am the most radical communist because my solution is to literally do nothing because it's going to happen either way. You know, it's going to happen. Like, there's no way around this, fellas. And it's going to be done in a very American way where maybe BlackRock will own the houses and rent them out to you at a cheap price. And there will be no landlords because no one actually ever owned the property, right? It was all rented from the government anyway. It's going to be like China, but with private equity. And it's like, if you just sit there and wait, it's going to happen. You know, it may not be the way you want it to happen, but it might happen. To be the most radical communist, you actually want to do nothing. If you try to fix things, you'll make them worse. And everything says the critic I had about this video was this apartment building was rent stabilized, which was the fault of the city and regulations, a lot of policies Mamdani supports. Makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, because it's not an actual like free market, right? Building. So that's going to be the excuse to not maintain standards from the landlords. But I don't know how they're going to fix this problem, dude. If he wants to find someone a country that has actually worked with rent control, it's the only one that I know of is Finland. You want to keep rent control, rent stabilization, and keep the apartments nice, you got to look to Finland. Let's continue here because here we have the biggest thing here. We had last year, the winner of the biggest anti-Semite in America was Tucker Carlson, or the world, actually. World champion Tucker Carlson. I think Zohran Mamdani might be gunning for it this year because here we had him on day one. This is by Combat Anti-Semitism Movement. On day one, Mamdani revokes the IHRA definition of anti-Semitism and the anti-BDS executive order. He revoked every Adams executive order after September. The IHRA definition is, let's actually look it up, man. If I recall, it's pretty weird, man, because it gets into World War II, and my understanding of anti-Semitism is just racism, right? It's not liking Jewish people. But let's see what the definition is. IHRA. What is anti-Semitism? Why are you checking if I'm a bot? Please let me in. I want to learn about anti-Semitism. Working definition of anti-Semitism. Read the full text of the IHRA's non-legally binding working definition of anti-Semitism now. Dude, regardless of what they're saying here, let's go through some of these. Accusing Jews as a people of being responsible for real or imagined wrongdoing committed by a single Jewish person or a group, or even for acts committed by non-Jews. Isn't that just racism? Isn't that me being accused of being a border hopping spick, despite not being that? Denying the fact, scope, mechanisms, or intentionality of genocide of the Jewish people at the hands of the National Socialist Germany and its supporters and accomplices during World War II. If you deny, what are we? Holding Jews collectively responsible for the actions of the state of Israel. If your definition has bullet points in it, I can see why they would revoke this. This is ridiculous. Look, I can give you a definition of anti-Venezuelan racism. It's that you don't like Venezuelan people and you're mean to them. Are you telling me that they expect people to follow this? This is ridiculous. I don't hate Jewish people or anything. As I've said repeatedly, I'm not Jewish myself. But you can't give me this definition. You got it. Brother, what are we doing, folks? This is insane. This is insane. You can't give me this definition of anti-Semitism where this is, how many words is this? How many words is this? This has to be at least 700 words. Okay, so I understand why you would revoke this as a law. This is a confusing law. Wasn't there that emperor that put the law in the pillar in the center of town so high that people couldn't read it so he could arrest everyone? And because of that, we have to make laws understandable to the common person now. Forgot what that legal principle is called. So, all right, they're mad at Zohran for repealing the most confusing racism law. Hate crimes are still a thing, by the way. Here he is signing the executive orders. Here someone summed up what they were. Create a land inventory fast track task force. Task force is bureaucracy. Create a speed task force to identify bureaucratic and permitting barriers that slowed the construction of housing. All right, task force is Zohran. That sounds like bureaucracy to me. I want to see some meat on the bones soon. And this we'll save for Schizo Watch another day because we have to get to another fella here. We have to get to the guy who's running for governor in Florida. The Nick Fuentes candidate, James Fishback. I have been critical of Mr. Fishback, but I think Mr. Fishback may be watching the show. I am not going to call him James Fishback anymore. I have since learned and confirmed that he is Colombian. We are going to call him Jaime Wetback on this show. I'm Hispanic, I can say it. Jaime Wetback, the governor. We have to get into it. I have to make him a title card, dude. So the reason I'm saying I think he's watching the show, this is great to do with Zohran as the contrast. This is going to be very interesting. All right, let's watch what Jaime Wetback did. As I said previously on the show, all of this anti-Israel stuff he keeps saying, I was like, Jaime, Mr. Wetback, I don't care about your rhetoric on Israel. If I were to vote based on Israel in Florida, I would say, can we sell these stupid fucking bonds that we own? Because they pay us no interest. We're losing money with inflation. If you say that, I might take you seriously. Well, over the holidays, James Fishback says that as Florida's governor, he will, quote, divest the entire $385 million currently invested in Israeli government bonds and launch a $385 million down payment assistance program to help married Florida couples buy their first home. Listen. What? What? This is pretty interesting. I don't believe him. I don't believe he's actually going to do this or he's going to win. But what? Jaime, this is wild. I'm actually impressed. I'm impressed. Didn't think he'd go there. What else has Jaime been up to? Let's see what we got here, man. This is, he quote tweeted this. He's interacting a lot with the AF Post, which seems to be a Nick Fuentes aligned YouTube channel, Twitter account. It says, Israeli state media says Netanyahu should be most concerned about Florida gubernatorial candidate James Fishback, calling him a threat to U.S. foreign aid to Israel. And it says here, he quote tweeted, I am not suicidal. James, you're kind of, this is crazy. This is wild. He is, I did not expect this from him. I did not. As I've said, I'm not an Israel voter. I'm not going to vote for a local office based on Israel. I'm not going to vote at all, actually. But if they're that concerned about selling $350 million of Israeli bonds, this could be tempting. We're going to take $350 million from the Israeli bond market in order to help people buy homes in Florida. I don't agree with that second part. I think she's going to inflate prices. But at least it would be doing something somewhat productive. Here we have, I think this is interesting, because he's been posting a lot since over the break. He posted here, canes for dinner. And he's eating Raising Cane's, this disgusting slop. I hate this stuff. It's gross. I don't know if anyone here likes it, but I tried this once, like 5 years ago. It was gross. I really didn't like it. I didn't like the stupid sauce. I didn't like the fries. It wasn't very good. But anyway, apparently the reason he tweeted this, I found out, is because there's a Nick Fuentes meme about eating Raising Cane's. And if that wasn't enough, he did an interview with this guy called Beardson Beardley, who he was beefing with online. And this is important here because it's not gossip. This is showing you that the Joe Rogan effect, the Joe Rogan podcast effect, it seems to be actually doing the Reaganomics thing. It's trickling on down because Beardson Beardley, I hadn't heard of this guy. I found out recently he's a friend of Nick Fuentes, runs a podcast. I didn't know about this. I'm not shitting on him. It's not my zone of my place of interest. But James Fishback felt the need to go on his show to promote his campaign, which is also curious, because does this mean that the Groyper vote, at least in Florida, actually matters and they could flip elections? All right, let's see what he had to say here, because Beardson Beardley ended up endorsing him after the interview.
Like you said, I'm not going to apologize for anything, but I am glad that we got to sit down and have this conversation and actually talk and get to know each other a little bit, because at the end of the day, that's kind of the whole thing. You kind of came out of nowhere. You had this, real groundswell. Credit to you, of course. But it's like, okay, who is this guy really? And I really appreciate you taking the time to come and talk to me, to introduce yourself to us. And now that I've gotten to know you a little bit more, I'm a fan. You can consider myself a fan, so I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Beardson. Really appreciate it, man. Merry Christmas to you and your family, and I'll see you in Kentucky soon, and we'll do some GameCube.
Yeah, sounds good. Happy holidays. No, okay, I'm just kidding.
Just for context again, for any new viewers, guys, by the way, hit that like, comment, and subscribe if you're new here. It's half a second and it's free. I hate Florida's government. I've hated Ron DeSantis since a few months into his term. I really don't like him. And some people may dislike James Fishback because of his Groyper flirting. Anything that hurts the establishment Republican Party in Florida, I am for. If the Democrats were actually got their shit together, but they're retarded, we have the most retarded Democratic Party in the country. I blame them for DeSantis inviting half the world to live in this state. If they got their shit together, I'd be happy about this. I like this ankle biting. Let's continue. Here's some parts of the interview here where he's talking about the campaign. Well, actually, here he's talking about his top 3 video games, a relatable guy. You guys rate this list of your video game fans.
All right. So I got to ask, top 3, favorite video games. What is James Fishback playing when he's not campaigning?
Gosh, so I was really a PC gamer growing up. Call of Duty 4 online was a lot of fun. Was a lot of fun. I remember GoldenEye on 64 was great. And then this is gonna sound maybe cringe, but Lego Star Wars, the original Lego Star Wars on PC was so freaking fun.
So this may seem frivolous and stupid, but in reality, and this is why I say Jaime is a lot like Zohran. These guys, dude, they're very, very similar. They're very similar. This is our Zohran Mamdani in Florida. New York got Zohran Mamdani. We're getting James Fishback. I don't give a fuck as long as he hurts Ron DeSantis and Byron Donalds. Listen, I'll be clear here. I don't vote. In case, because he has to be watching the show. I'm the one who brought up the bonds thing. James Fishback, if you promise me that you will arrest Ron DeSantis, because we're in a third world country at this point anyway, we might as well start arresting our political opponents if Trump's doing it. If you promise to me that you will actually lock up Ron DeSantis for the crimes he's committed against Florida, I will actually vote for you. I will vote for you. I will break my rule and vote for you. I just want to see him in prison. If anyone can promise me, this goes for any Democrat or Republican, the first person to say, hey, King Leo, I am going to put Ron DeSantis in prison. I'm going to lock him up for you. I will vote for you. I will break my rule. I will actually go out and register to vote and vote for you. Please arrest Ron DeSantis. That's all I want for my governor. You can do whatever else you want. I don't give a shit. As long as you arrest Ron DeSantis, I'm very happy. Let's continue with another part of the interview here. Hey, it's an open field. It's an open field. So here he is in the interview, not disavowing Nick Fuentes, actually tripling down on this position.
Say what you want about Nick and all the stuff that's happening. Nick's followers, as I have met them, are insanely smart, insightful, and patriotic. And then the calls from donors, you need to disavow Nick, you need to disavow his followers. I'm like, absolutely not. And I don't know if you saw this video, but I made it. It was literally in a Walmart parking lot. I was like, I want to clarify some comments that I made about the supporters of Nick Fuentes. And I want to clarify and apologize for absolutely nothing, right? Because this idea that I'm going to disavow anyone, any American, least of all people that I largely agree with on some of these issues, just because a donor called me up and said, you know what this guy stands for? I'm like, I actually haven't met him, but I have met his supporters who I self-identify as supporters. And I thought they were incredibly smart. And I'm not going to sit here and throw people down the river because you have some ideation of how these people look or what they represent. I mean, this is going back to the deplorables comment from Hillary Clinton. I mean, heck, to criticize the Republicans, this goes back to Mitt Romney's 47% comment that nearly half the country is just stealing from billionaires and millionaires, right? I mean, this contempt for working class people has been around for a long time. And I think that goes back to the division of economic nationalism versus economic corporatism. And so to go to your question right now, I was at a pizza parlor. I was expecting 10, 15 people to show up. We had posted the event about 24 hours beforehand. So West Palm Beach, and about 80 people showed up. And it was a lot of the same guys, the America First hat. And the question came up, which is we're seeing all over social media now going to congressional staffers, going to members of Congress themselves. And very simply, it is America first or Israel first. And I thought, like, hold on, why is that a gotcha? Right? So just go back to first principles, Beardson. America first or insert literally every other country here first. And it would be hands down, like America first, Qatar first, like America first, China first.
And here we see him talking more about Israel. But what's notable there is he didn't disavow Nick Fuentes again. I think this is the first test of the Groyper movement. Zohran Mamdani was the first test of, I guess not really, right, of the DSA movement, because they've gotten other ones in the past, but it kind of was because he was open about it. And here we have a test for the Groyper movement. Because he's not letting up on it, and he's signaling the anti-Israel message to a point that's it's even technical. You know, he's talking about the bonds. Ephra says, do you think the Groyper right and socialist democratic left will not necessarily unite, but do something close? Will this scare the billionaires and special interests? I don't know, Ephra. I'm very curious about that because I saw that it was very limited. I was actually looking up if Nick Fuentes had commented on Zohran Mamdani, and it seemed like he didn't exactly hate the guy. It seemed like he didn't like him too much, but he didn't hate him. So there is a huge opportunity here for the Groypers and the DSA types to basically lead an attack on the establishment of both sides. And at the end of the day, by the way, it's all collusion. You need to collude with other people in order to get anything done. If they can bridge the divide, I think it's much harder from the DSA side. I don't think these two groups trust each other at all. But if they can actually game theory this, it would be interesting to see them go together. What is true for sure is that these guys are going to be at least significant, not third parties, but third parties within parties in the next 20, 30 years. Because this is a ascendant movement. It's a great question, Ephra. I have the same question myself. Let's continue here. I was actually driving up to North Florida when this happened. He went to Disney Springs, which is the shitty downtown Disney, because Disney redid downtown Disney. I used to go there as a kid. It was cool. Okay. Downtown Disney was the best. It was actually very cool. The Lego store was dope. What else was there? Disney Quest, I was never a fan of, but it was a nice place. You would go there. It was colorful. It was nice. Downtown Disney is like this Disney park, but it's a mall, you know? And I'm not a Disney fan, but they redid it, and it's called Disney Springs now. I actually went there because they have a Uniqlo, and I wanted to see their clothes. I didn't like the Uniqlo clothes. It's the only Uniqlo in Florida. And it sucks now. It sucks now. Okay? But anyway, James Fishback was there at Disney Springs at their Starbucks, and he had a little meet and greet that got so big that he was kicked out. I was in Orlando the day this happened, man, but I didn't see it. I would have actually gone to see him. Mr. Fishback, I'm actually going to Wetback country up in North Florida. I'm going up there, Jaime Fishback, Jaime Wetback. And he got kicked out from Disney. So obviously this movement has IRL traction, which matters. It does matter. I had everything says, has Nick said anything about Thomas Massey? I think he actually genuinely dislikes Thomas Massey. He sees him. It's odd because Fuentes kind of, obviously, because he's talking a lot and he's taking questions from the audience a lot, he has to flip-flop. You know, I've seen him praise him in some sense for standing up to Trump and also decry him for being weak. So I'm not sure. Let's see here how he was kicked out by, I'm not sure what his opinion would be. I hate everything. Maybe someday we can interview Nick Fuentes here and get down to it. Let's see here. This is him getting kicked out of Disney Springs. Dude, when a movement has people who are willing to show up for you in real life, it's hell to park at Disney Springs. To do that, it shows that this has traction. More than I would have thought.
There was this need. Having a conversation. Okay. Because it's attracting some other folks in the area that don't know really what's going on. Oh yeah. So have you guys talked to Starbucks?
Yeah, we have.
And they gave you permission
They
to
did.
have a group gathering today?
Yes.
Okay, can I ask you all the names today?
James Fishback.
That's the name of your group?
Yes.
Okay. So let me go talk to the Starbucks manager and we'll be back in just a minute. Okay? Thank you. They don't want to.
So he eventually gets kicked out. We can see here when they walk him out.
Shame of the Goya. What's that one song?
Unfortunately, we don't allow any types of photo shoots or anything else, okay?
So you guys just don't allow any photos?
So this is private property. Your Walt Disney World is private property, as I'm sure you're aware of.
Who is?
If he actually starts talking about fucking nationalizing Disney, I would vote for him too. If this makes him anti-Disney, I'm not anti-Disney. Disney did a lot for our state. But when Walt was in charge, now it's a scam. Dude, this guy's interesting. Jaime Wetback is an interesting
They
fella.
would not bother to kick us out.
Yeah.
But what we are talking about is freedom and liberty
That's not true, guys.
and the First
We're gonna have to
Amendment.
ask you, this is private property. Any type of rally. Any type
It's not
of
a rally. Who said it was a
Any type of-
rally?
It is true. This is private property. That's true.
He
And
is
I'm trying to be
talking
very
about-
friendly. Oh, shit.
He
And I agree with him. I agree with him.
feels
But
strong
we
about,
can't
so
have...
why can't he
Guys, we're
talk
not going
about
to
it?
because it's a political rally.
And I have to say, because I did it a lot to the Zohran people, I'm going to be completely real here. Completely real. The aesthetics of the supporters, this was the same problem Zohran had, they're not there, dude. Like, what is this? Why are you wearing a t-shirt? Groom your hair. Lose some weight. If you're going to be out there, lose some weight. If you're going to be supporting, dude, like there's so many, you need to demand a uniform. This is already impressive enough that he got people in person, but you need to demand a uniform. You need to demand something. You should be dressed in a nice shirt, long sleeve. All right, let's continue because this is the adventures of James Fishback. When we last checked in on him, he had called Byron Donalds, who is the Trump endorsed candidate, a slave. He doubled down on it. Okay. But what he did here is fascinating because I've always felt about this way. I've become less passionate with it over time. I'm someone who respects the Black American experience. I do respect Black Americans. I think that they are a unique ethnic group. And something that's always bothered me is when interlopers come in. I can name a few. Coleman Hughes, Kamele Foster. There are a lot of these guys. What's his name? Wes Moore. Those guys, Coleman Hughes is Puerto Rican. Kamele Foster and Wes Moore are Jamaican. But they pretend that they're Black American. I was not aware of this, but the Black American community seems to be fed up with this as well. And they call them tethers. Now, I didn't know this. Byron Donalds is apparently from Belize, his family background. So he would be what is called a tether because he's not actually a Black American. He is not a foundational Black American, as some people call them. He does not descend from slavery. He does not descend from the civil rights movement. So James Fishback is now arguing, last we saw him, he was saying Byron Donalds is a slave because he is owned by corporate interests. Now he's saying he doesn't get to be mad about being called a slave because he's not a real Black American. Let's see here.
We have to be able to do politics for Americans. And this is something that we have to tackle. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, that's right. And let's just be completely honest of what Byron Donalds is. Byron Donalds is a tether. He is not an American descendant.
Wait a minute, James. How do you know the term tether?
He is a tether. He is not an American descendant of slaves. So when Byron Donalds...
This is the charisma, man. If you've never gotten that tone from Black people, I get that when I walk into a soul food restaurant. I'm like, do you have chitlings? They never do. You have to go on like Tuesdays usually. They're like, you know about chitlings? What? And I'm, of course, we love mondongo. I want to try yours. When you get that, that is real Black endearment. That is real appeal to Black people. And the fact he knew the word tether seems to have that. This is. All right, let's watch that again. That's great.
Tether. He is not an American descendant.
Wait a minute, James. How do you know the term tether?
He is a tether. He is not an American descendant of slaves. So when Byron Donalds cries like he has over the last couple of weeks because I call him a slave to AIPAC, a slave to corporate interest, a slave to the pro-immigration lobby that has hurt every race of Americans, but has also hurt Black Americans who disproportionately work in food, hospitality, leisure, and customer service. He is in no position, has no right to be complaining about me calling him a slave when he has absolutely no direct descendant of slavery in his family.
Talk that bro, I need someone to do this to Kameli Foster. I'm tired of Coleman Hughes and Kameli Foster lecturing Black people. I'm tired of it. You are Jamaican. How has no one, Black people have been saying this. James Fishback, dude, I respect this a lot. To know a culture enough to say, hey, you're a culture vulture and of the worst kind because you're wearing camouflage. This is great stuff, man. They need to start doing this to people, dude. I need Kameli Foster to be called out for being Jamaican. He is not a American, foundational Black American. This is, dude, if you promise to arrest Ron DeSantis, I will vote for you. This is the coolest thing I have seen a white candidate do in a long time, or a Hispanic candidate. I'm a wetback here. But to call him out, dude. He's not actually Black. Who are you to say that? I am the person who loves Black people. I love it. I love it. I love it. I Hate Everything says, do you think James Fishback has a chance or is going to be a future player? We're going to look at the odds before we end the show, sir. I might fucking bet on it, man, because he has a chance to at least. It's very hard because Byron Donalds is endorsed by Trump and Ron DeSantis is going to endorse someone as well. Might not be Byron Donalds, but most likely it will be. It's going to be very tough to beat that, especially with the transplants. The transplants are a huge voting block now and they fucking suck. So
he's from Panama. He's from Belize. His dad's from Jamaica. Irrelevant. Here's what I will say. Okay. Unequivocally, I do not support reparations in any form. I would not have supported the reparations for Japanese who were interned. I would not have supported reparations for Chinese Americans who were expelled. And I would not have supported reparations and do not support reparations for the descendants of slavery. But here's what I can commit to. I can commit to creating an economic system that works for one group and one group only, and that is American citizens living in the great state of Florida. Consuelo, we have to be very clear about what has happened because of people like Byron Donalds. Last year, he said, quote, I want anyone from anywhere who wants to come here and work and contribute to come. The problem is that when anyone from anywhere comes here to contribute, they are by definition taking a job that would have gone to someone locally who is a citizen, a job.
I don't know if you guys are aware of it. This is a huge thing. If you've ever read Zora Neale Hurston or been to Central Florida, this does resonate with Black people. Black people and white crackers, Florida crackers, that's not an insult. That's just a term that's used in Florida. Crackers and Blacks used to work the sugarcane fields. And then they started bringing in cheap Haitian labor in the 70s. And they would bring them in for a season to harvest. And a lot of people lost their jobs because of this. So this is something that resonates with Black people. Okay, it even resonates with Hispanics. Hispanics that have been here for a little bit, where they're saying, hey, wait, we're going to invite everyone here? I'm not going to be able to get a low status job at least? This boy knows the culture, man. He knows the culture. I got to say, this is too good to not be pandering. But the fact he said that Byron Donalds isn't Black is the funniest thing I've heard. That is so good. That is so good. It's so good. Let's move on. Let's see him continue to double and triple down on the racial rhetoric also. Let's see him here at a Walmart where he ran into Byron Donalds.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have found Byron Donalds in his natural habitat outside of a Walmart in Tallahassee. He is there.
By the way, this is very common in Florida. At my Walmart, we have chickens I don't know why it happens. In Key West, they're everywhere. In Miami, they're everywhere. We have chickens at the Walmart parking lot. Don't ask me why. I don't know why they congregate around Walmart. I don't know why they're Walmart customers, but chickens love Walmart.
He was with one chicken earlier. He's now moved on to another chicken, as is always his case with these things. And he does not appear to have stolen from the store yet, but third time would be a charm. Stock market's closed, so he has not made a stock trade. But we were, wow, ran into Byron Donalds. That's kind of cool. In Tallahassee, where he went to school. And cool to be here.
It's not exactly super funny, but this is a very Florida appealing thing to see a chicken in the Walmart parking lot. Some white people don't like it. I met some white people that are confused by it. They say, why are there these chickens everywhere? Well, these are like transplants mostly, where they're like, why do you guys have these chickens? But everyone else just kind of, they're like, oh, I don't know, the chickens just live there. They like it. Let's see him continue his attacks on Byron Donalds. Let's make this big. He has tripled down. Byron Donalds is a slave who was auctioned off for $31 million. He only wants to please his corporate master. I'm running for governor to make Florida more affordable for working family students and seniors. Dude, at some point, and again, you don't understand how much someone from Florida, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, hates the current Republican establishment. Okay, you will find people that hate them from every side. So anything that attacks Byron Donalds is good for us. If he releases an edit of Kunta Kinte getting whipped with Byron Donalds' face, what's your name? Toby! This is too funny, man. It's too funny. I hate Byron Donalds. Let's continue here. Here he is. This is where he's coming in here and attacking him based on the his past, because Byron Donalds seems to have been a woke warrior of some sort.
I wasn't going to come out with a statement about the heinous murder of George Floyd because so many people across the country, whether they're white or black, politicians, non-politicians, all came out making the exact right statement, that George Floyd was murdered and that the police officers in question needed to be charged. And so on Friday, when the officer was charged, I said, you know what, justice is going to be done in this case.
So this is when he was running for Congress, and quite clearly you can see that he was anti-Derek Chauvin or pro-George Floyd. We can read his tweet, I want justice for George Floyd, but we can't burn down our cities and small businesses, many black owned. We can't target our police officers, many of which are good. We must come together as a country to better our communities, not let anger push us towards anarchy. This is a very Florida, middle of the road response to George Floyd. I at least liked DeSantis's and the sheriff of Polk County, because the sheriff of Polk County was like, if you start stealing, we are going to kill you, and the citizens are empowered to do it. At least it's extreme. You know, at least there's something interesting. This is like a very milquetoast thing. This is usually how you're going to talk here. And here, James Fishback, Hyman Wetback is saying, Byron Donalds, I want justice for George Floyd. BLM Byron. I mean, it's an okay attack. I just like anything that hurts Byron Donalds. This is funny. This is so funny. Using anything he can against him is great. I had everything says, are they going to have debates? Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be great stuff, man. Here he is attacking Byron Donalds for something that I wouldn't do. Byron Donalds says, to all celebrating, I wish you a happy Kwanzaa. And he says, Byron Donalds is a black nationalist. I'm actually not anti-Kwanzaa. I don't celebrate Kwanzaa. Even though I have some black in me, you know, because the ancestors, you know. Fucking Trinidad, right? I have a Trinidadian ancestry to an extent. Trinidadians and Venezuelans are very similar, but very different as well. So, I mean, I'm not a Kwanzaa hater. I actually kind of like Kwanzaa. I think it's a cool idea. I think everyone should have a Kwanzaa. I think that white people and their ethnicities should have a Kwanzaa. There should be a Swedish Kwanzaa for descendants of Swedes, a Norwegian Kwanzaa for descendants of Norwegians. Kwanzaa is a cool idea. You know, you reconnect with your roots. It's kind of cool. But all right, you know, you're going to attack him on that. It's cool. I'll give it to you, James. I'll give it to you, James. Here he's referencing vintage Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSantis got in trouble when he was running against Andrew Gillum the first time because Andrew Gillum was a black drug addict, literally a drug addict. He was also black. I'm not saying he's a drug addict because he's black. We're not racist on this show. He was a black guy who was hooked on meth, married and having sexual intercourse with men. Okay, Candace Owens is the one who leaked this with receipts. Like a year after Ron DeSantis won, she destroyed this guy's career. Thankfully, this guy was an idiot. I could see it on him. I could smell it on him. Andrew Gillum was a closeted gay guy who was smoking meth and having sex with other men while he was married, running against Ron DeSantis. And Ron DeSantis, who at the time I actually was like, oh, he could be okay, said, stop monkeying around. And people were mad about that because, I don't know, Andrew Gillum's campaign was the worst campaign I've seen in a long time. Charlie Crist was worse, but Andrew Gillum was disgusting. And so here's James Fishback referencing that I'm running for Florida governor to stop the monkey business. And we have him here with that smirk. All right. Here we have, again, with the, you can't even call these dog whistles. They're pretty straight up. Byron Donalds represents a dark vision for Florida. One where we surrender our land to AI data centers, give in to overdevelopment, and allow Florida workers to be replaced by Indian H-1Bs. As governor, I'll protect our land workers and seniors. I looked it up. We're not even in the top 10 of H-1Bs, so I don't really understand why he's obsessed with this. We don't have a lot of Indians in the state. The most famous Indian in Florida is Rocky Patel. He's the guy who owns Rocky Patel, the cigars. He lives in Naples. But he is right about this, the AI data centers. This is a dark vision, but I know what you're doing here, man. Overdevelopment's a problem. It is a dark vision. It's true, but this is also what Ron DeSantis' vision was, but I know what you're doing here, man. It's very funny. It's very funny. I hope that Byron Donalds gets in on this and he goes, "You spick." Like he starts, we go full racial. At least that would be funny. Let's hear him tripling down on calling him a slave on the news.
How can those black Floridians count on you to affect?
And very effective use of Kodak Black, a Florida legend. If you can hear those steel drums, you know if you're from Florida, that Kodak song with the steel drums.
Actively represent them, because when you launched and called your campaign opponent in the primary, probably, who is black, you called him a slave.
Well, Kent, I called him that because he's a slave to corporate donors and to foreign interest. If Byron Donalds wants me to stop calling him that, he should return the $30 million he took from corporate PACs all across this country. What I say to the 4 million black Floridians is what I say to every other Floridian in the state. I am in this race to fight for you. I'm in this race to make life more affordable for you, your kids, and your grandkids, whether it's property tax, property insurance, car insurance, college tuition, the ability to get a great paying job, raise a family, buy a home, and when it's all said and done, retire with dignity.
Ice water turn Atlantic, night calling in a phantom. Told them, hold it, don't you panic. Took an island, fled the mansion. Drop the roof, more expansion. Drive a coupe, you can stand. She love bitches undercover. I'm an ass and titty lover. Guess we all meant for each other. Now that all the dogs free, and we out in these streets. Can you do it? Can you pop it for me?
Look, man, it's definitely grifter vibes, but this is so funny. This is so funny. Look. It's just so funny. Is he going to be our first black governor? He's funny. He's funny. He is, dude, and he's using Kodak Black. He knows what he's doing. They hate to see white boys with some motion. They can't handle a spick with some motion, man. Let's continue. We're almost done here, folks. Here we have him again putting out another campaign video defending this.
I got a lot of flack for saying that Byron Donalds was a slave, but I'm not going to apologize for it. If he wants me to stop calling him a slave, he can give the money back to AIPAC.
Give the money back, man. Give the money back. Give the money back. And here, finally, he started attacking the Lieutenant Governor, Jay Collins. These are more boring attacks because Jay Collins is a boring guy. You can't really make fun of him like Byron Donalds. Byron Donalds is a ridiculous guy. He's a ridiculous guy. He has a drug charge from when he was 17. It was expunged. He became a Trump grifter. He got into Congress wearing a big red tie, looking real shucking and jiving over there, man. For all the MLK haters here, dude, Byron Donalds is a real. Ron DeSantis did a lot of shucking and jiving too to Trump. But Byron Donalds, he's literally dressed like Trump all the time. It's ridiculous. And I can say that because he's a tether, okay? He's not black, okay? So here's Jay Collins, who's our lieutenant governor, another moron.
Yes. Look, man, you want to come to America, take a legal immigration approach, do that. Take your swing, come here, become one of our citizens, and live a great life, because opportunity exists here in a way it doesn't anywhere.
You're the lieutenant governor. Why the fuck are you talking about immigration policy? We can't do anything about that. Can we get people to leave the state so that we could own the state again? And he's correctly called out by James Fishback, who says, what the fuck is this, Jay Collins, total rhino? And here, his last attack. Here, Jay Collins said, of course, let's see what it's the same thing that's going on with Zohran. This is why he's Florida Zohran.
You don't have the right to harm other people with your words, and you don't have the right to say things that have really negative, really horrible meanings. When you want people to destroy Israel, that matters.
Fuck you. Dude, this is insane. The anti-BDS stuff, as someone who doesn't even really care about it's not that I don't care, I just don't follow the Israel stuff. What are you talking about? We're in Florida. We get to say what we want about anyone. We're in Florida. Dude, we have stand your ground, castle doctrine, and permitless carry. You're telling people that words matter enough to kill people is what you're saying. You're being an irresponsible lieutenant governor. This roided out military freak, because that's what this guy is, roided out freak, is going to be my governor. Fuck you. You're going to come in here and you're going to tell me that you're going to stop immigration and enforce speech laws? Fuck you. Fuck you. And here, James Fishback retweeted and said, the First Amendment will be on the ballot in Florida's 2026 governor's race. Very smart framing. As a wizard, very smart. I am the only candidate who will unapologetically defend your God-given right to free speech. Folks, that's our catching up with Fishback. This guy, let's do what we said we were going to do. Let's look at the odds. Why don't we do that? Let's see the odds of him winning. Come on. I bet they're not great. Maduro odds are up 10% for this month. Let's see this. James Fishback. Here we go. Florida governor's race. Because, dude, it's really hard to beat this establishment. He's at 7%. That's not terrible. Look, he's above Jay Collins. Might actually bet on this. I think he could get to like 30% at some point. That's like a 2x. It's not bad. Matt Gaetz. Look at these. This fucking clown. Buying no here is like no risk. You see, it's going to be one of these two. Casey DeSantis. This could be a good buy. This could go up. Not financial advice. But here you have it, 7%. Let's see what the holders are saying. Fishback for president. Obviously someone who's here. Good luck with a Trump-endorsed candidate not winning a Republican primary. Of course, this is a person with logic coming in about Byron Donalds. Top holders. Let's see James Fishback. Oh, he has a lot of holders. All right, interesting. So there you have it, folks. That's James Fishback. What a fascinating, the first Groyper candidate. If he's not a grifter, if he helps destroy the Florida Republican establishment, I will be ever thankful. If he actually, I'm going to pull it up for any youngins that don't know about this. Roots is a great show, man. I think that this is literally what he might be released. This would be a meme that he would release at this point. Let's watch Roots, a classic TV show. Highly recommend it.
James, your name is Toby. I want to hear you say it. Your name is Toby. You're going to learn to say your name. Let me hear you say it. What's your name?
If he edits himself into the overseer and Byron Donalds here, or Benjamin Netanyahu over there, that's crazy.
Kunta Kinte.
This would be wild, man. He would do that. He would edit Netanyahu's face into this and Byron Donald's face over here into Kunta Kinte. This guy, at the very least, this is a very funny election. It's very funny. Very funny. All right, everybody. That's Friday. That's our Friday show. This was a lot of fun. We're getting back in the rhythm of it. I'll be back on Tuesday, and we'll have more. Let me pull up the Patreon and all that, all our plugs. If you could subscribe kindly, if you're new here, subscribe. It's literally free, and it helps the channel grow quite a bit. We've been growing at an accelerated rate. And if you consider becoming a member on YouTube or on Patreon, here's our Patreon, where we have the King Leo Movie Club. For $5 or $20 a month, you choose, you get to, we talk about film and how important it is in a Baudrillardian sense. New episodes are coming out this weekend to catch up. Here we have the Discord, which is free. Link is in the description. It's growing. We have 6 people, so it's growing. Here you have our What Would a Postmodernist Do parody bracelet, which you can buy at the description for $10. Not wearing it tonight, but I will start wearing it next week when we're back in the mojo of things. Man, some wild shit. Let me read a couple of chats before we go. Efra says, seriously, I think AI data centers are a giant scam in my opinion. You can literally run an open weights model with a 16 gigabyte GPU locally. I'm not sure about the technical stuff, Efra, but I would say this, that I don't mind Floridians overreacting to these sensors, because any technology sensor is going to use a lot of water, and our water is limited, and it's from an aquifer. And every time we've let a private company use the aquifer, they have fucked it up. There's a salmon company in the Everglades. They grow salmon in the Everglades. I know that sounds ridiculous. Look them up. They're called something Sapphire. This company has poisoned the water of the Everglades with salmon shit for months, years at this point. I checked out their facilities. It's the Norwegians that are like supposed to, it's like Swedish chef. We're good people, blah, blah, blah. And, oh man, I just don't like what they do with our water, you know? But I agree, Efra. I think it's definitely overhyped. Mystery Lou says, did you see Eddington King Lou? I have not. I actually watched it. I watched Marty Supreme last night. Thought it was okay. That was a little weird. I prefer Uncut Gems and Good Time. The L in Salmon. Yeah, dude, it's the Hispanic. We say the L and it sticks to English. That multilingualism, man. People like to preach about being a polyglot. It also does fuck you up, where you confuse things. Sometimes you're like, I forgot that word in either language. Miss Schofield had said that Fishback looks extra brown in certain light. All right, everybody. As I always say, guys, I will catch up with the chats on my own. I like to rewatch the shows to see where we can improve. I hope that the new setup, the new clothing, the new professionalism is here. We're looking a lot more professional. Appreciate you guys tuning in, and I will see you guys on Tuesday. Join us on Patreon, YouTube, whatever. Make sure you subscribe. See you guys then.
Change the world. My final message.